All right, so this boat had the boat, like she started the rabbit with good space to leeward. Can you stop it? And you won't be able to see it from here, but her sails, actually, you can see a bit of it. Her sail's too tight, okay? The Cunningham's too tight over here, the outhole's too tight, and the Vang is too tight. For the wind condition there was, okay? And so, as soon as I told her to start easing stuff and power up the sail, she got from this position to maybe a little bit further forward. But if she would have had that sail set up from the moment she rounded the rabbit, she would probably be up here, might have pinched this boat, or be more in like the ladder, or in line with everyone else. Okay, so that's what bad control. It's probably been a minute and a half, 2 minutes from the start of the rabbit. An upwind lasts at least 12 minutes, right? And so imagine having that speed disadvantage for 12 minutes. That means probably 10 boat lengths or more, you know. And so that's very important that we realize, okay? And so Kayla usually uses the rudder too much at times. And something that you have is that you let the boat heel too much before you ease your sail. And so what we want to do, and this is something that we should pay attention to, is as soon as we feel the power or some pressure hitting the boat, ideally we saw it coming, okay? But when we see the pressure coming, and I hope we get it on that video at some point when the pressure hits, you can let the boat heel a tiny bit, but that means that the reason why you're letting it heel a little bit is so that then you release it with your main, you know, and if it was a lift, you don't need to head up or down, you just release it, and if it was a lift, it's sort of, you're now in a sort of a low mode, okay? As you're letting go of the main, with, let's say you reach a heel angle of 5 degrees, okay, no more than that. You start easing your main, and then you use that release and some body movement and full hike, because as soon as you release your main, you cannot come in. The sail trim and your hiking posture need to be independent. Okay, you cannot be hiking from the main sheet. That's why your boat heels, right? Because you're not being able to release the main sheet and stay out. You know, and so we need to work on our core fitness for that. Okay? We need to be independent. The body movements and hiking posture from the sail trim and main sheet trimming. Okay? So ideally we release, as soon as the puff hits, we release the main a little bit. We get to a heel angle, like 4 degrees. We release the main, and then we do some pushing forward, and we full hike, and that's when the boat actually starts accelerating. You use it to your advantage, and then you can head back up to close hole and go back to block once you've adjusted to the new wind condition. Okay, and you're already looking for the next lull or for an even stronger puff. Okay, and so that's part of transitioning. Keep going. Let's see if you start. I think you already eased a little bit, but that outhole's a little too tight. Okay, you can see it. That's actually pretty nice, a nice view. And I would say both boats are a little too tight on their controls. This is a little better. All right, good. Good space to leeward here. Okay. I see, okay, stop for a second. I see boats like this one and sometimes him and a lot of you guys that are doing movements on the boat and the laser's heavy, it's not an opti, you know. And so movements that you do make less of an impact on the boat, okay? And what's happening is the laser's a boat that actually naturally, and it's way better designed than an opti, so it cuts the waves, and it actually does build momentum and flows quite nice. Okay, it's well designed in general, and so if you're just moving and flicking the airflow from the sail and the foils, you'll never find the boat actually tracking, and you will not find opportunities to actually aid the boat a little bit with your body, you know, and so. I see people just like hiking block to block and then just doing like very, very aggressive body movements. And those are not really going to help. They're just going to not allow you to feel what the boat needs. They will not allow you to ease the sail when you need to. And they will not allow you to actually stop moving the rudder and breaking the boat. okay, and stopping the boat. And so the first thing we want to do after a rabbit, especially in these kind of conditions where it's not 15 knots and this chop this size, it's actually pretty flat water, okay? So we want the boat, which is well designed, to cut through the waves, but the first thing we want to do is feel what the boat needs, okay? So we round the rabbit and we remain steady, and ideally what a good coach that I had said is you need to feel, especially when you're in hiking mode, hiking mode, that you are sailing in a 420 or a 470 in a trapeze, okay? Only you're just tied to a hiking strap, but you need to do it as if you were in a trapeze. And once you see them out there, unless it's super light and they're actually pumping, which we cannot do in the laser because it's illegal, then what you see in them is they're just straight out there, and they're just, imagine you're a 49er skipper, they're just controlling everything smoothly with their hands, okay? And they're not doing too much body movements because they don't translate into speed. And so let's treat it as if we were out there in a trapeze, posted up as far away as we can, as tight to the hiking strap as we can, not hanging with their toes up from the hiking strap. And then controlling, and then something I have in my head all the time is being myself honest in always sailing the correct angle. The correct angle is pretty relative, okay? I cannot tell you it's high mode, low mode, or VMG, medium, like pretty average mode, okay? Because it's a mixture of everything, and it really depends on where you are with regards to the fleet and what your strategy is and what the amount of pressure you're on, okay? So if the whole fleet wants to get to a puff over here, ideally the people to windward want to go as fast as possible to get to that puff almost at the same time as the people that are going to get it first, which are the people on the right, okay? You can see the pressure over here, right? And so then the strategy of these guys might be a little different than the strategy of these other guys with regards to the modes of the boats, okay? These guys might want to start pinching a little bit more to kill the people to windward, while these guys want to get closer to the leeward guys in order to get the pressure at the same time, or close to at the same time. And then when their shift comes, they can position themselves in a better position than if they stayed too far away from them, okay? Sometimes, again, you cannot teleport, so there's so much you can do, okay? So yeah, that's so important about the actual VMG and the feeling what the boat needs, okay? Less upper body movement, and feel it, and then in conditions like yesterday, if you're gonna get into the boat, I sometimes even put my hand on the deck so that I don't transmit too much movements on the boat. Okay, I lift my butt with my hand a little bit and I just scooch in sometimes, right? The quicker you come into the boat before the puff leaves, before the lull arrives, the easier it will be to make it smooth. Okay, the later you are, the more aggressive that movement will be. And as soon as you're jumping in, you're actually creating a negative effect on the sail, like apparent wind, and you will lose power and your bow will just fall, okay? Keep going. Yeah, so again, here, what I was communicating to you, where are you? Cayman Islands? Is that Kiara? Kiara? Well, it was that she should stop moving her body too much on the rudder, and the rudder is actually a lot straighter now. And you could see a big difference. Even though she would still do it at times, you could still see a big difference. That's a little too much rudder movement at times, okay? Here. This seems pretty smooth at the moment. Sometimes it's inevitable. You need to move the rudder a little bit, but I try to keep it straight as much as I can. You can clearly see boats that are overdoing things end up struggling. So yeah, here I was telling him, try to keep the rudder straight and feel the boat. Don't move your body too much. You need to be pressing ideally on your quads a little bit more. And but that looks like I would trim Cunningham a tiny bit more, but I didn't tell him that because I wanted him to have the power. Okay, so you can see it down there. And he was actually keeping up quite nice. Steady rudder, and that's too late to come in already. Okay? And that's because his hiking strap's too loose. Hiking strap's too loose, so the posture is a little bit, it seems like his butt's a little too low, okay, outside of the boat. But it's the important thing is to realize that as soon as his posture became, can we stop it? As soon as his posture becomes the wrong posture, maybe he got tired and then his hiking strap was too loose, so he starts like crouching a little bit, and then he starts moving the rudder too much. So that's the sort of like the wrong one, the wrong posture, right? Hiking strap's too loose. He's pulling the rudder to windward, which means he's probably moving the rudder quite a lot. His bow was a little further forward on everyone, and as soon as he transitions the wrong way, the boat comes to windward, he just slides back half a boat length, okay? And these are precious meters. Keep going. I like the resilience on this guy to be able to hold this is a seam. This is living in a seam, okay? He has clear air. This person didn't pinch him. But ideally, you would want to go for speed to be able to survive in this hole over here. Right? And so you can stop it here. And what do you think are the priorities of these boats if they would be getting closer to a starboard tack ley line? Let's say this boat. What could be going through her mind?
Get foot off so you could get ahead.
Foot off? I think she's too far down, too low already on the let's call this the fleet, to have to for her priority to go even faster. Okay, unless you see a huge puff over here, that you need to be sure that it's a righty. You would really not want to foot off if you're this boat. Okay, but you know you're getting closer to a ley line. What else would you do? What would she be thinking of, or he? Of course crossing, because she's going to attack at some point. But I think what she maybe could have played a little bit more is, I don't know how the wind looks, but maybe maybe a little bit more of a pinching mode, okay?
No fonts.
Maybe a little bit more of a pinching mode so that she can actually have more control when she comes back and she doesn't have to sail on starboard for too long. But yeah, that's sort of what she could think. What would you think if you're this boat over here? Yeah.
Going like more of a low mode.
To try and extend from this boat?
Yeah. Or try to get closer to the...
Yeah, imagine you're like 2 minutes away from the starboard tack ley line. What do you think this guy should be thinking of, or girl should be? I think in my head it would be trying to kill this person.
But it depends if you see a pressure on the other side.
Yeah, but it's still too little time to make a difference, you know? If you get the pressure and they leave out, they can pinch you off, right? And so what you want to do is try and, because this boat's bow back on us, so if we both tack, we're already ahead of this boat, right? So your main competition here, if you're this boat, is this other boat. And so if you can play a pinching mode, especially from like 3 minutes before reaching the starboard tack ley line, to force them to either fall back or tack early, and then I have a good lane on starboard, that would be my main goal. Okay, if you're this boat, what would you be thinking of? Any ideas? Strategy-wise, sort of? You have a sort of like a, not really a tight lane yet, but this boat could be thinking of pinching you off. And sort of matching the high mode could be an option. The other option could be to just use your speed to go as bow forward as you can, even if you don't get bow forward. If you tack, you're ahead of this boat over here. Okay, that boat's not going to be able to lee bow in a position to pinch you off later. Okay, their lee bow will probably end up back here. Okay, so what you want to do is actually press the fleet as much as you can, get as close to these two boats as possible. Of course, you cannot get too close to this one because you depend on this one, and so that when they lee bow, when they actually tack, you can lee bow them close and pinch them off. Okay. And so that's identifying this. What would this boat need to think of? It's an easier strategy for this boat. they should be thinking of just probably keeping a good lane compared to these guys, not falling behind, and thinking on if she's going to want to do an early tack, because she's definitely not going to be able to leave out in a comfortable position. We already saw that. Or take some sterns and post up on the starboard tack ley line. Okay? Strategy-wise, all of these people should be thinking differently because of the positions they're in. So take that into account for the race course and be like, what are my options? I'm here, you know. I don't have that many options right now, right? I know I'm in bad air. This is a speed test. That's why he didn't tack. But either I tack early or I wait for these guys to get to ley line tack, and then I'm going to go and post up on the starboard tack ley line. That all depends on what the wind that's coming, I think, is going to do. Okay? You can keep going. Let's see how it plays out. So yeah, this sailor didn't really pinch much. He just corrected the angle, which means he probably was not sailing the correct angle for some time. And so that's lack of focus. And now this boat is very comfortable up here, right? Even more. You can see that sailors are just exaggerating the header angle, right? On that one. You could see the leeward boat just following to leeward. And so, nice, thanks. And this boat now has a comfortable lane to windward, and then he will be able to leave out quite nicely. So if you're the leeward boat here, you need to be focused on sailing the correct angle and using any flat spots to pinch as much as you can, which is not what that boat did over there. He just sailed his own angles and ended up giving oxygen to all the people around them. Okay? So we already looking at strategy from 3 minutes before reaching starboard tack ley line, because then the long tack's about to come for 5 minutes, and we have no idea, and we really want a good lane on starboard. Okay? And so we need to control that from the moment, way before tacking. Okay? Keep going. Thanks. You can clearly see the correct, that was a really nice rabbit rounding, for example. That was actually pretty good as well. That's not that good. That was sort of a little too high at the moment of this as well. And you didn't make it. That was too high to hit the rudder. The rabbit, sorry. Okay, let's watch. That's the difference between not making it and or not making it and making it to the rabbit. Not making it and making it. Okay. There was a header on port, but controls were too tight again, and she was moving the rudder too much. Again, the mistakes are mostly the same. Okay, it might sound repetitive, it might sound boring, but it is boring because you guys are not really correcting it. Okay, so we are repeating it. Yesterday was not a day to be strapping the vang on too much, and too much vangs on, which will just send the bow down as soon as you lose power. And the people that were sailing the boat the best, which she was actually pretty fast, she's here. The people that were sailing the boat the best were actually easing their main when they felt that the wind was dropping and giving some leeward heel to feel the boat a little bit more and to identify the correct angles. Okay, so she was sailing the boat quite well. The girl that was, I don't know where you are. But, yeah. But maybe too much body movements at times. Okay, just keep it more still. All right, next. Let's do some 4.7s and then. Oh yeah, no, leave that video actually. The one before. Okay, this is a clear example. Remember that I talked to you after that one. This is a clear example of someone that got a bad lane. You can stop for a second. A bad lane of a rabbit with the wrong sail setup, too close to the boat to leeward for the rabbit, and then he's just making a bigger mistake, which is he's aiming too high, trying to pinch without even having the right sail setup, and too much inconsistency in his rudder movements and stuff. And so the only thing you'll see the boat do is go even slower. He will try to point higher at times, but the boat will just drift, and he will end up behind this other boat in no time. So this is 10 seconds, 15 seconds after the rabbit rounding, okay? So
Steph,
too much bang on.
I think it's good for you to say for them why is wrong set up.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's too flat, but if it came
Yeah.
explain that would be good.
Yeah, so what I like about this, the things that I do like about this boat is that he was using some leeward heel before the video kept going. And but the things I don't like is the vang's too tight to try and pinch. Okay, look at the amount of the boom bending. Okay, look at this, the angle at which the main sheet's going out. Okay, that's too much bang on. To be able to look at this angle, it's going further up, right? And you can see that this boat has a lot more heel to leeward, and you can clearly see that his back's actually being able to be leaning out more, and it's more comfortable. And that's all because his sails set up. This boat has a lot less bang on as well. And they all looked a lot more comfortable and with more power in the sail than you. What the Vang will do is open the leech up there, and you will not have an open leech will not give you the return on the sail, because it's the depth of the sail in the back that gives you the height, okay, and the power. So if you open that, you no longer have that power in the back of the sail to give you height. So we need to be careful with the amount of Vang we're using, especially in this type of conditions. Okay? If it even in this condition, I don't think there is really a low mode if it's this medium wind. So I wouldn't even really try unless I have a wave that I can surf. But you could totally surf a wave without this much bang. Like with the amount of bang this boat has and that boat has, you would be quite fine with easing some sail, releasing it, because you're not easing this much sail as if it were 15 knots or 20. You're actually just releasing like this much, putting the bow down, surfing something, and then bringing it back to block. Okay? And so this will just, for this wind condition, not really work. It would need to be like 3-4 knots lighter to start putting bang on again, because it's like a curve. I haven't explained it yet, but when it's from like 0 to 5 or 6 knots, you put bang on, leeward heel, because you want that sail to stay flat, because you cannot afford to have too much of a deep sail, okay? But once it starts going above 6 knots, you start easing the bang, all the way till it's, for some of you, 11 knots, the lighter ones, or even 13 knots, the heavier ones of you, okay? So it really depends on your weight, on when you start trimming it again. And then above 13, 14 knots, you start putting bang again, okay? But this was a window of like 7 to 10 knots where you actually needed the bang to stay loose most of the time, okay? I mean block to block, that's when you present it and that's it. Okay? I wouldn't put any more. Only if I'm super light and it was the heaviest puff of the day, I would put a little bit more bang on to release the bow. Okay, keep going. I feel like this might be too much bang on as well. All right, let's do one more of those, and then we're going to go to starts, which are actually pretty interesting and fun. You can add on the starts as well. This happens when people are not looking at the rabbit, and so they look at this, you know, you end up having to go complete downwind. And what I do like is that you guys all ended up getting good distance to be able to have an okay rounding in the end. Tough one. Okay, and then too much body movement, you're forcing it too much. Okay? It's all because we're not looking at where the rabbit is. Let's go back 15 seconds. And let's pay attention to this boat, okay? Fastest boat. The rudder's still, okay? You can see in the wake that he's not really moving the rudder too much. Body, not too much body movement. A little bit of it, but not too much. And these boats are sailing too high. Okay, and so that was the reason why this boat might have pinched, and he pinched this one off, but he couldn't get to this one, and that's why they got rolled in the end. So we gotta make sure that we're sailing the correct angle of the rabbit, okay? Yeah, it's here. This boat had the sail too flat, I remember. And the rudder was like, he was just jabbing it too much. He was sailing the boat quite well, okay? So we can maybe pay attention to that. If you can make it. So I would have, all right, let's use that as an example. Go back a little bit on this one, on this video. So you will see an opportunity to transition, and this will be the last video we see about speed tests. Maybe there's more, but we will, actually there's a Eric one that we might be able to watch as well. But for the moment, he's sailing the boat quite well, okay? But you will see that a puff hits, and so what I would have done, the only thing I would have done is put a tiny bit more vang on before the puff hits, because the puff was like a 3 or 4 knot more puff, which means he needed to hike a lot, and it wasn't enough because the boat heels. Okay, so play it. If I identify that the puff's coming, I might put a little bit more vang on. But at this moment, all right, you can stop it now. That's too much heel already. Okay? That's probably 9-degree heel or 10-degree heel. Okay, we want to get it to 5 max. Okay? In order to do that, he would have had to put a little bit more vang on, before the puff hits, and then get out there a little quicker. Smoother, but quicker. Okay? And then release the main. And as you release the main, you hike harder, and you put the bow down a little bit. Okay? And that will turn into acceleration that you can then bring back up to block, and go close haul again. Okay? Keep going. Still, now it just got flat. Okay? So it took him some moments, and if you would have had a boat next to him that transitions better, they would have just been able to pinch him off or even roll him. Yeah, that you saw. Who is it? Who was that boat over there? You're just sending the trims without even thinking of what they will do to the boat. Okay? And your trimming is so aggressive that it moves the rudder. Everything should be independent. Again, if you're going to go trim your vang, okay, because I tell you so or because you think you should trim it, it should not, that's going to give you an advantage, right? You trim your vang, that's going to allow you to be able to ease your sail or whatever later on. But that trimming of the vang should not be changing your rudder, it should not be moving your rudder or your main sheet. You should be able to keep everything independent. I'm going to put some Cunningham on. The first thing I focus on is the boat going as fast as it can before I put some on or some off. As soon as I uncleat the vang, uncleating the vang generates some or takes some power. Okay, it actually takes some strength. And so when you pull backwards and pull up, some of you are not really keeping the rudder movement on the main sheet independent, and so you can see that the rudder moves when they uncleat the vang, and that's just a brake. You're putting a handbrake, okay, on the boat, and so it takes core strength, it takes muscles and strength to be able to do it. And so that's why the fitness is so important on this boat. And it's more than lifting weights, it's mobility, balance, agility, and stretching that will get you to the point where you can be completely independent and control everything on the boat and transmit to the boat what you want. Okay? Now let's go to the 4/7s. Sorry, 4/7s is ILCA force. Or used to be. A starboard one. Further forward. Further forward. Yeah, I think it's going to be here. Yeah. Before the rabbit. Okay, yeah, you can press play there. I can't remember, but I think it's the 4/7. Yeah, it is. This is you, right? Yeah, ideally we want a little bit closer space so that we can be in the same wind. You can see people missing the rabbit, huh? Why? Because they're looking at the boats to leeward of them. They're not really looking at the rabbit. Right? We got to be paying attention to the rabbit all the time. So you can stop it there. If this were a start, which boats would you want to be? This one? Huh? This one? Too much risk, right? Maybe? But it's not bad, huh? Clear wind, but a little bit too much leverage to the left side. If you really like it, then yes, but ideally you want to be this boat, but here, right? So you have more control. Then comes this one. How about this one? This could be a time bomb, right? In a few seconds, 20 seconds, they could get pinched off. But if they really like the left side, and they sail the boat correctly, and maybe a couple of these ones miss, he could be thinking of tacking and crossing, or tacking, and doing a good lee bow, and he's still second in the race probably. Okay, so we need to be thinking of those things. How about this one? For sure not. All right, that was a bad rounding, bad start, and then bad first 20 seconds of the race. Okay, this one, yeah, good space to leeward. This boat has no chance of getting back to it unless he's probably like a top 10 sailor in the world that could get out of this into probably this position. Out of resilience, out of sailing the boat correctly, and out of taking an opportunity like a wake. Probably whatever, the only thing that would get this boat back to line is a little bit of luck. Like a wake that comes for him better than for the others and gets his bow back up here. Okay, but they will be able to live in here for minutes. Okay, or we will. Okay, but this boat's very comfortable. How about this one? A little bit of a tight lane and not many chances to tack, right? This one should already be thinking of tacking, taking some sterns, heading to the other side of the course for clear wind. This one, even though he has a clear lane, they didn't make it to the rabbit, so they're further back on the fleet. Okay, this one's okay. This one, with this one you're gonna moat the boat and get your bow to get probably, you can sacrifice some angle, some height, and end up more like here, right? Which would be, again, now a more controlling position. This one, pretty average, I would say. It can be okay, because you can survive in there for a while. And then this one, it's okay, right? And so it all will depend on what the strategy is and how the wind will end up turning out. But it's clear that we can identify easily as a group, and we all agree on which boats are the strongest, right? And so let's not just have to look at a video and identify it, but picture it in our heads before the rabbit and be like, how do I need to round the rabbit with how much space to be able to be one of these boats? Okay? Cool. All right, keep going. And let's go to the next one of these lineups, because that's where we will see a good transitioning. I think it was that one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's this one. So these three boats have comparable speed, I think. Is Eric around here? No, it's further up.
Data here.
Oh yeah, you can put yeah, those guys. Cool. Yeah, but the data will work really nicely for the starts. Too tight of an angle for that boat. Yeah, you will see these three boats. And then compare the modes, okay? No, not that one. This one probably. I know, yeah, this one. Okay, you can stop it. What are these boats' modes right now? How about this one? Low, right? Which is it okay to be sort of considering a low mode? From my point of view, I would go more of like an average. I don't need to go low mode out of the rabbit right away, okay? Unless I'm feeling slow. If I'm feeling slow, I'll accelerate the boat on a low mode. But there's no need to actually. You're already ahead of this one, right? And you want to save this distance between you and this boat for a moment where you really need it, in case you're getting rolled by the boat to windward of you. Okay. So I would be trying to be more of at an average VMG mode. Okay. How about this boat's mode? It's probably average, okay? You don't see too much pinching. And this one? This one and this one probably. High. Okay, and the difference is like 3 degrees, you know, pointing. Between this one and this one, there's probably 6 degrees. Okay, and that makes a huge difference, okay, on the acceleration of a boat. And then in 10 seconds, you probably have gained half a boat length high or lost half a boat length low, but maybe gained some bow forward on everyone by going low. Okay, so keep going, let's roll it. And you will see, just focus on the moding of those 3 boats. Okay, I'm not going to ask many questions, focus on the moding, and let's see how it turns out. What they now have in common is they're not moving the rudder too much, and their bodies are actually pretty in sync with the waves.
So this is Eric.
Yeah.
He's here, and he has this green with the green heading data.
Yeah. So look at the difference in angles here. Okay. And then you will see. Actually, the difference in speeds probably, but I don't know if Elisa and Eric.
Yeah.
Good. Speeder, we
So
ground.
this is-
Yeah, this was Eric's putting a low mode. His main sheet's more loose, and then Elisa is a block to block and high mode. If you're Elisa here, and you start seeing a person trying to roll you, what would be your best move right there? If you actually start seeing the bow of the person coming and being like a challenge. Yeah, you want to match that person's angle. Why? Because you have space to leeward to do it, right? If you didn't have that space to leeward, it could be game over for you. Okay? But since you have space to leeward, you need to make sure that you're looking to windward of you. And if you see a bow starting to come quick, and you can hear it, a boat accelerating.
We talked about that yesterday. Feeling here.
You can hear the
Hear
boat's
wave,
bow.
The bow hitting the wave, and the sound starts to be louder. You don't need to look to the side. You just drop main sheet and go the same way, speed up.
And the difference in degrees is probably 5 degrees. And that's like, no,
Well,
like
right now
five,
it's 15.
it's 5.5 knots faster. Okay. Sorry? You did. You matched it, and you were able to keep it, which was nice. Let's hit play. But it might have been a little too late. I would have been more on the safer side. Yeah, there you're matching him now. But you actually he pressed on you, and then he went back up, and you kept going low, and that's where he put the difference again. Okay, so that's like manipulating the fleet, what he's doing. Okay, and we do it a lot in our fleet. What do? We put pressure on them, even if we feel weak, and then they're like, oh, they match it, and then we go back up, and then you gain half a boat length or a boat length of height. Okay, and so you need to be very aware, so that as soon as he goes back up, because you are actually in a good position here, right? As he put some pressure on you, but if you probably kept going straight, you would have been able to pinch him. Okay? But you were like, okay, no, I'm not going to risk it. And you matched him, right? And so you guys were both going at the same speed. And then as soon as he saw you going low, he went back up. And that's when you need to make sure that you go back up as soon as possible as well. Okay? Cool. And from further before you here, this boat, you could have rolled both of them at one point, okay? And you didn't use that opportunity, and then you started moving the rudder too much, and transitioning not that well, and that's how this sailor over here got advantage on you, and you lost the opportunity to be just leading the pack with no one around you, okay? You can click play to see how it ends up turning out. I don't know how long we have of the video. Nice. Then now you went back to high mode. Once your bow is forward like this, you can start pressing higher. Okay. And you can see this boat building some distance as well. Him going back to low mode. Her matching. And then comes a big header. And so I talked to to Eric about this, and and we realized that that low mode he put at the beginning, I think it was, in my opinion, it was too early to do it. He should have gained some distance to windward, like this boat over here, to be a little bit more comfortable and maybe find another opportunity to roll this boat, but maybe just keep his height so that when a header comes, he's still ahead, right? He still has some good distance. He ended up burning that distance, and now he's in a tighter position. Okay, so a lot can change in 2 minutes, and you can see it, right? This boat was about to get rolled. Now she's able to pinch people off. This boat was very advantaged on everyone, and now he's just part of the ladder, but he was smart enough to get some distance before the header came. Okay, and so in our fleet, it's a lot tougher to be able to make these things happen. Why? Because people catch up to the changes and to people's strategy, like almost unconsciously. Like if I'm this boat out of the rabbit, I know that this boat might have started a little tight on me and he's going to go high mode. So I know that I'm not going to give him room to breathe. I'm going to go high mode with them, right? And if that boat's also understanding what our strategy is, and she has space to leeward, she has a little bit more freedom to play with her modes. So maybe surf a little wave, but then bring it up and start pressing on us to try and kill us as quick as possible. But the main goal is not to just kill them and, whoa, I won the race against 2 boats, because the whole rest of the fleet is going fast at somewhere in the course, right? And so it's all about just pressing enough so that they have no chance of rolling us. Now we have more options, and then we sail VMG again and mode the boat to go as fast as possible to compete against the rest of the fleet. Okay, so there's those internal small battles are important, but they should be short. And sometimes you might not understand this that well, but you have teammates on the water, not from your same yacht club or whatever. Teammates are people you're with in that side of the course, which you need to go fast with to cross the bulk of the fleet on the other side. Okay? So in our fleet, some people understand it and some people don't. Okay? You have some people trying to fight in very small fights on one side of the course between each other, and then they all slow themselves down, and then they lose to the bulk of the fleet on the other side, and now you're in like 40th. Okay? Well, if I were around some people, I would be like, dude, our goal, sometimes I even talk to them, and I'm like, we're not fighting between each other. We're trying to cross the whole fleet on the other side. Let's just find a good lane, everyone, and go. Of course, if it's 15 boats you're with, you cannot get everyone, the syndicate, together to work that well together. But if it's 3 or 4 of you, you have to work as a team, sort of, to try and find good lanes, all of you, to get to the other side. And the worst thing that you could do is just be taken away by the idea of just trying to beat those few boats over there. Okay? Because I don't care if I'm going to round 4th or 1st, right? But if I fight with them, I know I'm going to round in 20th or 15th, okay? So be smart about that, and especially if you have a few boats with you on one side of the course, you got to sort of work as a team. You don't really mind about them. All you mind about is trying to cross the other side of the fleet as quick as possible, or at least cross them, or have a good cross. So don't try to get yourself into small fights unless you're off a start and all you want is some oxygen to be able to have more options. That's okay. Because then you will be able to decide if your boat's, if this boat presses a little more and can send in attack, she has the option to attack or keep going straight. More options, right? While if she just sails normal average angle, she will have, it will take longer for her to have an ability to tack, and she will depend more on the boats to windward. Okay? And now I think let's finish this video and then we're going to go to the starts. I think that this is a lift, and this became a header, and so that's why the angles are different at that time. But yeah, I still see too much rudder movement here. You can see this rudder a lot straighter. This boat was sailing just, you were like zigzagging, okay? And not really sailing the correct angle. I wish we had the line for you, but all of these things over here, you can see a lot smoother on another line and on this line, right? This is just a lot of rudder movement. You know, you can see it. And I'm glad this is so accurate because you can clearly see that there's a lot more zigzag in here than there is over here or on the light blue one. Okay, and that's just slowing yourselves down. Okay, so try and not use the rudder when not necessary. Okay, let's go to the starts.
Oh, did you want to look at this?
No. I think it was inevitable. It was such a short downwind. Let's just be smart about. Sometimes you want to let someone go in if you think they're just kamikazing in it, and be like, okay, you can hit 5 boats down there. I'm going to take advantage of staying behind you and finding the gap to get in between you and the mark at some point. Okay, so be smart about it. Try to not get to a leeward mark, overlap with 10 boats. Okay, solve that problem by slowing yourself down a bit. Because you cannot just, unless you can send a jibe and break the overlap and get in front of them, you know, you're going to have to just wait, get out of the overlap, especially if you're one of the boats that's furthest on the outside, right? You want to slow yourself down, make sure you stay inside the zone, make sure you let these people know that you have room on them, and then just, worst case scenario, you're just going to round in line with everyone. Best case scenario, people get tangled and you find holes to get in there, okay? Okay, so who can you guys?
You want me to pull up the sail viewer?
Yeah. So we have a. Yeah, so we're gonna talk a little bit about. We have 10 boats here. They're all starting on the same line, which is nice. And this is meters per second. If you multiply that by 2.
Just one thing about starting on the same line, guys. I'm paying attention every day about something, and I don't know if you guys are concerned about get close to the radios or what's going on, but when we say we separately half of the line for 4 and half of the line for 6, it doesn't mean that the 4s cannot start close to the 6 in the middle. So what you guys are doing basically is like everybody's getting together at the boat. And you guys, I don't know if you want to be there or you just are concerned about go a little more towards the radios. What I'm saying is like the middle of the line is your pin. So explore the line. Don't be on the boat because, oh, Maru said we need to be on the boat, you know? So
I think they're just trying to. I mean, the 4s are slower, right? And so we talked about it yesterday. They are a little scared of getting too close to the 6s, and because there's too much traffic, right? And it's faster traffic. And so today we're going to be doing starting drills, and you guys are going to be in separate starts. So the 4s can win the pin, an actual pin, you know, if they want to. And I do understand their strategy, but I would, if it's 17 meters, that means in the middle of the line, that's 8 point something meters bias, you know, which is still 2 boat lengths. And 2 boat lengths, if you start here as an ILCA 4, okay, in the middle of the line. And so 2 boat lengths is still a lot, but in conditions like yesterday, I think more important is to get that first shift, okay, than the 2 boat lengths. Because in a shift, I don't know, how many boat lengths did you gain on everyone on that first shift with pressure? Like 15, 20? 20 minus 2 is 18 boat length difference between getting the shift or the bias. Okay? And so in yesterday's conditions, I would prefer to go to where the pressure is and where the shift is rather than necessarily start exactly on the favorite side of the course. Okay? But if the puff's going to hit where the favorite side of the course is, or the next shift we think is going to go towards that side, it's going to be twice the gains. Okay? The gains that you put in your pocket at the start, which here you can go down, is a 17-meter difference. Okay? That's about a little less than 5 boat length difference. Okay? Which you still can compensate with the shift, like you said, like you did. But clearly, you know, there's a difference between the boats that started at the pin and the boats that started at the boat at go. Okay, and that's the distance, like I said, that you're putting in your pockets right away. Okay, so the worst thing that could happen to you guys is to start on the not biased side of the course, which 17 meters is actually not too bad. I've seen 35-meter differences, okay, because of wind shift comes, and then it's like, okay, even more evident. But if it's 17 meters, I would really be looking into if the pressure looks the same and what the wind is doing tendency-wise, I would really be looking into trying to get the bias and then bringing that across and staying in between the fleet and the mark. Okay, that's the ideal world. Okay. Again, you cannot teleport, so you cannot just start in less wind here, which is what happened in this race, and then all of a sudden teleport to the right side of the course where there's wind. Okay, so sometimes you need to give away things to get other things, especially if it's shifty and patchy. Okay, it's more important to be in pressure. So yeah, we can see that the person that won the start at the gun was the closest to the start, which confirms a theory that usually the middle has a less sight of where the line is than the people in the ends. And my strategy, the way I sail, I start closer to the ends. I usually start either first at the pin or first at the boat if I'm very sure of the bias or strategy-wise of what I want to do, and I know I can start in those positions and no one, or that I have better boat handling than other people, and that's why we need to work on boat handling as well, and we will today. And because if you're sure that you want to be somewhere, you should be able to go and start there, no matter who's there. Okay? And then, if I feel that I'm already in a certain position in a regatta where I cannot take too much risk, I might start stepping up where I'm starting. You know, but I'm still going to be closer to the ends. The middle would be something, if just in case I identify that there's been a lot of sag going on in the week, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of that sag with a good line transit, and then I'm going to just press the acceleration a little bit quicker than the rest, and I'm going to have a clear lane. Okay, but if the middle's just as packed and it's close to the line or being over, it's too risky. Okay, and so some people are really good middle starters, but in my case, I go middle pin, middle boat, or boat or pin. I don't usually do middle, okay? But it's okay if you like to do that. It's more conservative, but at the same time, if you don't have a good start, it's pretty risky, because there's nowhere you really can get an escape to quick. You know, you cannot escape to the left or to the right quickly. So yeah, well, at gun, who's this boat? Okay, where are you here?
Right.
Second one.
This one. Okay, so probably
Right now.
I think that's David, not David.
Yeah.
It's the first.
David. Yeah.
The first is David.
Is this David? Yeah.
Yeah, David.
And you're Benja? Or
No, I'm David.
David is
Benja.
here.
Where are you, Benja?
The David
Like here?
from Brazil,
Here.
not,
Okay, nice. So you were the second closest to the line. No, not really. You were the fifth closest to the line, which is okay. But you can clearly see there's a sag, and there was 6 meters, or so a boat length behind the line.
Yeah, no, I had a pretty bad start because of the race. I went behind when I
Yeah, so we need to be the most important thing about starts, and why I can be pretty consistent with my starts, is because I scan for the pin and the boat constantly. I not only see the people to windward of me and the people to leeward of me and try to do boat handling, the same way that I'm telling you to look at where the rabbit is, not the guy to leeward of you before the rabbit, the actual boat that it's going to be the rabbit. That's your reference. Okay. The same way I look at that person, I look at the pin and the boat constantly. If I can't see them, either I'm too far back on the line, or we're all pretty over. Okay. Those are the only two reasons why I could not see the boat or the pin. In front of other boats, right? Like if you can see it from behind, then you're really far back, okay? And so how many times am I scanning for the boat and the pin on the last minute? Probably 20 times, okay? I'm doing whatever I'm doing boat handling wise. The first 20 seconds of that last minute don't matter too much, you know, because if you build space too early, then people can steal that space, or the person to leeward can actually just close that gauge on you guys. And so it's the last 40 seconds, the last 30 seconds that are the most important. And during those last 30 seconds, I'm not only trying to build space to leeward, but I'm also scanning. Where's the boat? Where's the pin? Okay, where's the boat again? Okay, now some boat handling to build some space to leeward. Again, where's the boat? And so I'm 100% sure, and I know where the line is, and I can see if the people to leeward or windward are accelerating early. Then I go with them, but I make sure that my sail number is hiding. Okay, but if I identify that they're a little slow, which is what happens most of the times, I just trim my sail 2 seconds earlier, and I'm gone. Right? I have now a clear lane with good options, space to leeward. Okay, let's press play. Well, 4 meters, I would say 4 meters, still a boat length behind. Anything between 1.5 meters. And actually, it's not, I just realized that Doug told us that the back arrows are like a meter behind the bow. Okay, so this boat was just at the line probably.
No,
Okay.
he took the...
I'd go.
Dog, you have the difference from the back arrows to
In
the bow.
Ivan's reports, it's just where the device is.
Yeah.
He doesn't do any offsetting in his reports, so, yeah.
Okay, let's go. You can pause it. Which boats would you be comfortable being? Okay, this is a different start from the one we saw yesterday. And we're gonna go through this real quick, okay? How about this one? Right? It's risky, because you have no chance of tacking right now, but you can close the gate on everyone. You can just pinch people off and have a good lane, good speed. You for sure will have a good lane. This one? Risky, yeah? Risky, can get pinched off. You didn't do a great job of closing the gap on the person to windward of you, right? And so that means that you can either get rolled or pinched. It's a little too risky. This one? This one's okay, especially because it's an ILCA 7 as well. They can go faster. But yeah, this is good because it's bow forward. They are close to the person to windward, so they can pinch them off, bow forward on them, and they have a little bit of room to play with if they needed some speed, a low mode to gain some speed. Okay. This one, too tight and too windward of an ILCA 7, but for the sake of it, it's just too tight, even if it were an ILCA 6. Okay. This one. This bow is a little forward, right, on the fleet. It looks okay. This one, we already talked to him. He was too far back on the line. If he would have been, ideally, all right, this is a huge, you can identify a huge opportunity as this boat, you know. He started, well, probably like 5.4 meters behind the line, which is a boat length and a little bit. And that's too much. You're giving away too much. I don't know if this boat's in here, but this boat was probably more like 2.8 meters. I know I'm taking a meter from it, but 2.8 meters behind the line, that's half a boat length, that's perfect, okay? And so you can clearly see that this is a lot less comfortable to be in of a position, right? Because you can get pinched off as soon as you get headed, you're screwed. But you have an opportunity you had on the last minute, okay? And to close this gap over here, to get closer to this boat, and to have a life, basically, for the upwind, okay? Now you gave that boat the opportunity to have that life, that oxygen for the whole upwind, and you're the one that doesn't have it, okay? So yeah, we gotta be a little bit more selfish here, okay? And if you're this boat, you're gonna do, and before the start, and this boat tries to come and get your gap, you're gonna try to do the most possible to scare them away, and be like, starboard, put your bow down, starboard, 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 without even going forward. Sometimes you can just bear away, and your sail's laughing, and be like, starboard, and that scares them, and they tack early, and again, you keep your distance, okay? And so you want to save this with your life.
Something we're going to
Protect.
talk later in the presentation. Hannah, can you go back a little more? Okay, look, at this point, this boat here, look at the space he has to windward.
Yeah.
So why not a double tack? Take
Well-
that space for yourself and then close the guy there and give all the space you have to leeward to run in the start.
Yeah. So what Maru just said, the double tack and everything should be happening at 40 seconds to
Yeah.
go. Okay? Not at 10 or 20 seconds to go. You cannot do it. We do it even at 20 seconds sometimes because we are super quick at doing a double tap.
He had all this space before.
But he had, yeah, you can clearly see the opportunity there, and you're not being proactive with it. You're okay with being there, and at the same time, you're not scanning because you were, or you didn't have a transit, and that's why you started a boat length and a half behind the line.
The other thing is the position that he put his boat before. So if he's facing more upwind, like you see here, this boat, and he's pointing here instead pointing up.
You're sailing distance towards the boat to leeward, which is not great. Okay.
May I interject for 1 second?
Yeah.
Guys, a lot of the things you're doing on the start, you're doing processing the input that you get from your eyes with your brain, right? You have to look, basically. Simple like that, okay? Stefano mentioned transit, right? You gotta see your transit. The boat with the arrow, can she see the transit? Yes or no? There's no way, because there is
They cannot
5
even see the
boats
pin.
between you and the pin. You can't see the pin. Can I process anything visually if I cannot see the pin? No. What can you see though? One thing I never want to see on a start. What can you see very clearly? Rudder. And I'm trying to simplify this, right? If I see a rudder of a boat that is in front of me, can I possibly be in a good spot? Right? This have to be triggers.
So what happens is, even if they're over, you should control your variables because you might be able to see the rudder of someone that pulled the trigger 3 seconds before the start, and then you're like, but he's over. Right. Okay, so in case that happens, then you have so much space to windward that even if they're over by a mile, you still have a lane to sail at, right? It might be a tight one because they were over, but it's not an excuse to be like, but they were over. No. I build my space to windward, and I make sure that even if they're over, you know, or if I identify that they're being irresponsible or being over at a minute, I get out of there, right? Because they don't care about their race, they don't care about being over. But in case it's the last 15 seconds and they're just pressing the trigger too early, or the last, let's say, 30 seconds, and I see them pushing the line and I'm seeing the rudder, I'm going to do the most possible to gain as much windward space as possible. Okay? This was not the case. No one was over. Okay? Everyone was a little behind the line, actually. And so if you see a rudder and you're behind the line, then we're in trouble. Okay? Let's send it. I like this boat's start.
That's my hero. Yeah. That's beautiful.
He did give some oxygen to this other boat, which was a little lucky. And this other boat's start was actually pretty good. I think it was right on the line. And I think that's Isabella on that one. But these are yesterday's starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of a tough situation, right? Because you guys are very close to the line, not much space between boats. And you can clearly see, okay, so we need to identify opportunity here. More space around here, which as an ILCA 6 you cannot be there, but a lot more space in the middle of the course. Okay, so which boat, let's run it up a little bit more, forward. All right, there. Which boat would you rather, which boat would you be here? This one or this one? I'm only going to give you 2 options, really, because they're the 2 best positioned boats. The one in the middle or the one at the pin? I would rather be the one in the middle because I have control over all of these boats, and I'm ready to take any opportunities on the middle right side of the course. So I'm more of a conservative sailor in general, so that would be the sweet spot for me. Okay. Even though it's more starting towards the middle, not that much of a middle pin, this was ideal. Okay. So what did this boat do good? Have leeward space. He was lucky that this other boat didn't realize and didn't come and press them a little bit more. And what else? He knew where the line was, and there's one more thing. Speed of the line. Okay? He had a good acceleration. He gave away some space because he had so much leeward space to make sure he accelerated well on like a reach and then shoot up at go, okay? And so that's what we need to try and aim for. This is really not where we want to be, okay? This might be okay because he has some space to leeward, bow forward on that one. But yeah, ideally we want positions more like this one, more like this one, more like this one, and that one. Okay, with space to leeward. Huh?
Who is that?
Who is this? I think it's good. Okay, yeah, we've been throwing flowers at you the whole start. Okay, let's keep it rolling. How about the 4.7s? You can stop it. All of this happens because we're not scanning or we're scared to start, which happens in the 4.7 fleet a lot. Okay, push the line a little bit more, guys. Okay, we don't want to be these boats because that would mean you're taking your ticket to be on the second half of the fleet in the back. Okay, from the beginning of the race, you haven't even started, and you guys are already okay with being 25 or worse in the race. Okay, start's very important. Okay, and so we're here training. Let's push it. Don't be scared to have this red thing pop beeping OCS in your back arrows, because that means that you were closer to the line, and you should feel proud in case you had been struggling to be on the line, if now you're actually even being over. Okay, let's try to go to the other extreme. Okay, but be smart about it. Let's scan. Let's have space to leeward. Okay, keep going. POS at start. Yeah, this is how it will end up turning out. Okay, actually go up on here. I think there's something cool of it. No, down. After 1 minute, there's. Is it this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday there was a good video of this, but what Eric told me yesterday was like everyone kept sailing on starboard headed, which is what we're seeing here. Okay. And this boat over here, is that boat on port or starboard? Someone said starboard, and it looks like starboard, right? But they're actually on port. And so it means that everyone's so headed that a boat that is on port looks like it's going on starboard. Okay, that's how lifted it was. And so he was sailing towards the mark more than everyone else. You know, and so it's not magic, it's just he's in phase now. And so if I were these boats over here, and I'm ILCA 6s, and I know I can cross all of these boats over here, I would already be on port, sailing lifted. Okay? If I were one of the boats that had a good start at the pin and pressed everyone to windward of me, my main goal would be to take that bias and get it across. Okay? And that's the one you wanted to look at, right? And so this red means slow, green means fast, right?
It's VMG.
It's speed.
Yeah.
VMG to the mark.
VMG.
It's like the red means header. He's sailing in a header.
Oh, header. Okay.
He's
So,
sailing in a lift.
yeah. So this was Eric and the people attacked earlier. Okay. You can see their green means their VMG to the mark is faster. Velocity made good, and their angle is higher. Whoever was on starboard after the start, only the boat that started at the pin had a little green, but everything else became red. And this is red for too long. We cannot let that happen for too long, because then you get in phase, but the shift lasts for 5 minutes, right? So you have a little bit of green here, but then green on starboard means you're lifted on starboard on the left side of the course. You're in trouble. Now red on port to come back because the wind already shifted to the right. Green on starboard on the right side of the course. The wind had shifted to the right already, too late to come back from the left. Okay, so if I know that the wind's been on the left for so long during the start, and right during the start, let's say for the 5 minutes that the start lasted, and then for the few minutes later, if I'm one of the starters on the pin, I would be desperate to get myself on port and try and cover as much distance as I can to join that next righty and then actually get in sync with the shifts and the pressure. Okay, and so that's a priority that I don't think most of you are thinking of. Okay, being like, okay, where's the wind now? The wind's been coming and going. The next shift's probably going to be a righty. Okay, so either I start closer to the right because I don't trust the ability or the fleet to be able to cross early from the left and use those last 2 minutes of a lefty to cross, which is risky, or I start further up, I post up further up the line, more like here, and I'm ready to take advantage of a easier or earlier opportunity to tack. Okay, strategy-wise, you can keep going. This is actually super helpful because it shows you. Do you understand it? Now that I explained it. Red means that you're going away from the mark basically and slow. And green means that you're going towards the mark. Okay? So green on starboard means a righty, basically, and pressure. Green on port means a lefty, you know. And then red on port means a header. And red on starboard means a header on starboard. Okay? As easy as that.
The people that stand like on the pin at the start though, like even when they tag, they're still in red. Like,
No,
what would you
look.
have done?
Here.
No, look the, no, but
That's because they had no pressure.
but look the number 2 there. After he tagged,
It's green.
no, the number 2 down, more close to the start line. Yeah, you see green?
Yeah.
So he start going green and then he tack again to the red.
To red.
And
Yeah,
when
so-
you see red right away of a tag, for example, like here, supposed to be green, but the bow is so down, so it tack, but he put the bow so much down that it looks like a header. And then when he recovered the bow, it started to be green. So that was a bad tag.
Either a bad tag or he went behind someone, you know, and bore away
No, I
behind
don't think
someone.
so, because it's not going to show someone there.
Ah, right. Well, yeah. Okay.
So it's a bad tag.
But yeah,
No, it wouldn't show. There's only 10
Yeah.
lines.
Oh, yeah.
it could be, okay? But
Probably.
the thing is, yeah, if you're going behind boats, you're also
Yeah,
sailing slow, okay? And so make your life easier by identifying. So if you do the homework prior to the race, your life's going to be a lot easier because you're going to be able to already have useful information and then just adapt the new information that comes, and you will be more in control. That means you had a plan. But if you get out there just to improvise, fully improvise, and be like, I'm just going to start somewhere, and I'm going to figure it out from then onwards, you're going to feel lost because there's going to be people that seem to be knowing what's happening or anticipating or predicting the wind. But no, the only thing they did was observe before the start and be like, okay, there's a puff at the windward mark coming down, and on what side of the course is that coming? Okay, is the wind's been on the left for 5 minutes, it's probably going to start transitioning to the right. If that puff's coming from the right, that's like huge red lights saying a righty is coming, okay? And in conditions here in Miami, it's very evident, okay? And so let's make sure that we're right on point with trying to start where that next puff's going to hit and going towards the next shift so that we can stay in phase. Okay? This exposes boats a lot, and in our fleet, you would not see that much red in a course. Why? Because everyone's sailing the lifted tack. Okay. And this over here happens because most of these people didn't really sail the lifted tack at the beginning of the race. Okay? Cool. Yeah, let's do the second start. A lot of people were over. Can we? Yeah, nice. Cool. I think this is.
There, the data.
Ah, yeah.
Gonna
it's-
You
pause
need
it
to
for a
go.
second while I scroll down.
Is that too? No, I think you need to go back and switch the race.
We're
Race-
prioritizing
race
starts
4.
because on the downwind, I see people actually going to the marks, not opening too much. There are people that have such good technique that they can, not in conditions like in Miami of flat water, because the difference you make is not that big, speed-wise, but in conditions of wavy conditions, they'd rather have clear wind, and so they reach off the reach mark, and they sail further away from people on the downwind. And that way, not only they can sail their own technique and freely, but they can also be away from other boats, and so the judges cannot compare them to anyone. Right? So it's strategy. But that's why we're not focusing so much on the downwind yet, because we want you guys to have good starts, and the data helps so much. Okay, so yeah.
Talk about one position here. There was a great position here, but you end up throwing everything away because the way you approach on port, and that was, what's her name?
That's
Okay.
Kira.
Huh?
That's Kira.
Kira. So Kira, when you approach, and everyone, when you want to approach on port, I love that thing, and I think you guys should do if you want to win the pin. That's the best way to do. But you can't do like reaching towards the boat this way.
Chiara is ILCA 4s, right? Oh, 6.
So if you want to approach here, and you're gonna see, you're gonna end up over because you approach that way. But if you want to go here, what you need to do is put your bow down here, go like this, and everybody here thinks that you're going away, and you're not gonna take the spot. And then you head up, going upwind towards the stern of this boat, and then this boat cannot react at you. Because if you're coming towards the stern, how he's gonna point down to close the gap?
I'll
He
do
can't do
the
it. So now you're approaching him.
Mahi
you can't
fingers
do
with
anything.
French fries.
And then you tack here
Yuca.
under the boat and control him up and take all the space towards the pin. And now it's your time. You are the leader. So it's not what she did. She came like reaching and she tacked. As soon as she tacked, she was over. You guys gonna see.
And one more thing, the situation I was talking about earlier, if you see a rudder, but that person's further up the line and you think they're over, meaning this person's seeing this other person's rudder, right? Of course, this person's seeing everyone's rudder. So this person needs to actually get to the line. Okay? But if you're this one, you're probably like 2 boat lengths away from the mark. This could be powerful if you were a minute before the start. Okay? But if this is the last 30 seconds, you're going to struggle, okay? If you're this boat. Because you're, 3 boat lengths behind the line. I don't think we have them here, but 3 boat lengths behind the line, and you have someone literally in front of you in your upwind line. Okay, so the only way you can actually avoid having a tough start, even if you see that or think that these people are over, is gaining space to windward and posting yourself almost head to wind next to this boat over here, okay? And staying here. If you're this boat, you want to head up sort of to this position and then scan. And if you were around here, you would be able to see the boat, because there's a sag over here. And it would be hard to see the pin because these boats are pretty far forward, okay? And so, but you still scan for it. You could still probably find it, especially if it's a boat, okay? At the orange boat, it's going to be a boat. Okay, keep going. So he decided to just go behind, while this boat ended up getting some nice leeward space, okay? Yeah, so I called this one over. And the GPS actually told this person that they were over as well. All right, again, we do have the VMG data, right? Let's stop it. Who would you want to be here? This boat? Huh? Maybe, yeah. This one? Above it. How about this one? All right, yeah, this one's quite well. This one's good, okay. He has enough space. That's like 2 boat lengths in between them, or a boat length and a half. Huh? This one. Okay, yeah, I don't know if they were over, but is that you again?
No, that's a number 6 there, no?
This is good, but it's risky. And this is good, but it's risky as well, okay? If I'm sure that I'm going to go towards pressure, and the pressure's on the left, I'm going to be this boat, because I can control it. I know how to start on the pin. But if I'm not 100% sure, I'm probably going to be more someone like this boat, or even post up a little bit more like this boat over here, okay? If I'm 100% sure that the righty is going to come and I see the wind, and this is not wishful thinking, huh? This is actual facts, right? Facts are, if you actually see the wind, it's darker, it's windier over on one side of the course, probably the whole fleet's going to adjust to that, and imagine it's the right, the boat's going to be crowded, okay? And you need to go start and learn how to start there, okay? if the left's going to be the one that comes, like if you see a lot more pressure on the left side of the course, the fleet's intelligent. They're going to adjust. They're going to be towards the left side of the course. We just need to learn how to have a good start on that side of the start, okay? Even when it's crowded. Okay? And so today, we're going to be working on these things. Okay? We have identified what are the positions we want to be on. We have identified that there's most of these people were actually over. But we don't want to be in these positions a minute after the start. No one in the laser ILCA 7 or 6 professional fleets is this far back after 1 minute after the start. Okay? Imagine this. You know? Okay? That's like a crime. Okay? And that means you really didn't do your job of being on the line and pushing the line and scanning correctly and having space to leeward. Okay? And so don't expect to have good results if what you're doing is starting in 4th or 3rd row, okay? Or even 2nd row.
That's 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay.
Benjamin is leading. So when
Yeah,
you
so
see-
that boat's leading actually.
So when you
which is-
see 1 minute, the lead boat's gonna have like that.
That's you again?
That's Benjamin,
Who's you're Benjamin? Who's Benjamin?
the Argentine.
Okay, nice. Where are you on this one? Over? No. Do you remember? You're probably here. Okay. Okay, nice. But let's look at the VMG. Okay, cool. Okay. This is a lot better, okay? Just so you can identify, this looks a lot better. There's a little bit of red, which means that that was an opportunity to be in green on port. There's a little bit of red here. It could be because the boats that have the back arrows and that are here, actually, that are being recorded, got pinched by someone and that made him go slow or something. But that those 10 boats ended up doing a long port tack parallel and it being mainly green is a good sign. Okay, and these boats are random boats from the fleet. So it's probably the majority of it's like a survey. The majority of the fleet must have been behaving in this way, and that's what I saw as well from the water. Okay, so this looks more like a ILCA 7 or 6 professional fleet. Okay, where the whole fleet's in sync, because if not, you're going backwards. You know, your VMG is red, you're not going to the mark. Okay, so this is what we need to try and do. Of course, it gets a lot more red around here. But yeah, this boat, I'm not sure 100% how it ended up, but maybe get closer to ley line, away from trouble, so that you cannot be in red for that long, okay, for example. Okay, so yeah, that's it with regards to starts. You're gonna have a lot of repetitions today, starting. That's what we're gonna do before we do racing, okay? So take advantage of these opportunities, risk it on the pin, risk it on the boat. Now you both will have a pin and the boat to sail like if it were like a normal start, okay? I'm going to be floating from one fleet to the other. You guys are going to have some coaches in charge of you on either start, okay? It's going to be three minute rolling starts, okay? So you start every 3 minutes, 3 starts. The last one's a 1 lap race, up and down. Okay, you rest for a little bit and then you restart, okay? I want you to do a routine for every single start. Remember, you only have 3 minutes. So you want to sail for 30 seconds after the start, see how that lane was, make sure that you all keep sailing. Don't just bail. Because when you bail, you're wasting an opportunity for repetition again to do the 10,000 barrelways. Okay? You're wasting an opportunity. If you bail right away, you're wasting an opportunity to do 10,000 30-second speed tests of a start. So think of it that way. That's the way that it needs to be thought of. Okay? And so once you're done with those 30 seconds, do a barrelway as if you were rounding a mark. Okay? Or if you want, you can do a tack and barrelway. You don't do that much in the race course, but I'd rather you do 2 tacks and then barrelway, so that it's on starboard. Okay? And ease your controls and go back and test what the strategy, what the technique seems like on the downwind. Okay? And that's what you should be doing before every single start. As soon as you get back to the start, you have probably 2 minutes for the next start. Okay, so ideally you come to the start closer to the middle of it, you stand up, look backwards and find the pressure for the next start. Okay, and we make the decision right then at a minute 30 to go, and we go to where we need to go to start. Okay? If you don't feel comfortable starting at the pin, and you haven't in your whole life, this is your opportunity to test starting at the pin. Okay? This is your opportunity to test starting in the middle if you don't like it, or at the boat. Okay? Especially on the first two starts that don't count. You know, you keep, even if you have a bad start, keep sailing. 30 seconds. Okay? That's discipline, that's professionalism, and that's respect for your peers as well. Because it gives them a reference as well. Okay? Don't only keep going when you had the best start of your life. Okay? Keep going always. All right? And then after those starts, we're probably going to do that 2 or 3 times. And then we're going to go into racing again. Okay? The slaloms, if anyone was wondering, we're going to save them for tomorrow morning. And we might make them count for half a point for the regatta. Okay? It's going to be hits of 10 boats. And we're going to maybe give you results for those. And so take that professionally as well. And it will definitely give you a good idea of how much you can gain or lose on a reach, you know, because it's going to be a bunch of them, and it's going to be exciting. Okay. So yeah.
Let's do 5. Do you want to run?
I would love to be this boat over here.
Do you want to run a license at the practice? Because he can set up for 9 minutes and go for 6, 3, and 0.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But then
The problem is we need.
No, it's not a problem. We set up one, so we will set up orange mark here. It's ILCA 4. And then we set up the yellow mark close by, but keeping a distance. That is the 6. And then dog needs to be here with the mast. And then he can run in the same time.
Simultaneous.
We just need to coordinate between us on the radio. Hey guys, we're gonna set up the time right now.
Okay.
Okay? And
Okay, so you're going to see 9 minutes on the Vaqueros, and you start every 3, and then we're going to reset it. After the up and down, we reset it. But there's going to be distance in between those marks, so that you have a clear upwinds to your top mark, okay? So we don't want to mix ILCA 6 and 4.
This is gonna be a short upwind, guys, not gonna be like a race upwind.
So that short upwind is super important, okay? Those 30 seconds of the first 2 starts are good and important, but these upwinds are going to be very important because they're going to replicate the last 200 meters of an upwind, the last triangle. It's like the death triangle, we call it, okay? And so let's make sure that we use those situations to have 10,000 repetitions of death triangle approaches and strategy, okay? So let's be. Even from the start, if you had a bad one, a good one, or so-so one, one to leeward or one to windward, try to start thinking of how that's going to develop at the windward mark. And there's going to be a lot of traffic because it's going to be a short upwind, okay? So I want you handling the situations correctly. Of course, taking advantage of opportunities, but don't making stupid fouls, for example, or things that could have been avoided, okay? Because we want to stay conservative on that side.